If you read the headlines about current nonprofit donor revenue, you'd think the sky is falling. But is it really? In today's podcast, Richard and I discuss the results from actual donor data, not surveys, how to change the narrative from the glass is half empty to glass half full, and the steps you should take to boldly ask your donors to support your mission in the midst of this pandemic. Don't just read the headlines. Go deeper and find the real story, how donors are responding, and how forward-thinking nonprofit leaders, managers, and major gift officers are seeing increases to giving in record numbers.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Hi there, and welcome to the podcast today. Richard Perry is with me today, and boy, is he hot. In fact, I mean, I haven't seen you this wound up about something in a long time. Now, I don't want to keep you in suspense. So, Richard, why don't you just tell me what the heck is going on with you?
Well, here's what's got me wound up, Jeff. And ever since this COVID-19 pandemic thing has been going on, I'm seeing all these stories out there, by news organizations like Reuters News and Charity Navigator and the Chronicle. And basically, they're all just saying, you know what? We just got this massive drop in fundraising and a horrible failure and doom and gloom and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, 73% drop in Americans giving and, 94% of the respondents of, 880 organizations that say that, COVID's negatively affecting their revenue and, 10% are giving, a little bit less and 5% are giving less. And it's just irritating because you and I know that that's not really the real story.
I know.
It's misleading, actually.
That is so frustrating. I mean, here they are, these reputable, news organizations, and a lot of us all read, like Nonprofit Times, Nonprofit Pro, Fund, all of these, and they create these headlines that are just like all negative, all just to get you to click and read the story. And then the thing is, once you get into the story, you realize, wait a minute, actually, giving is actually up.
Well, I mean, yeah. Or the other thing you realize is what they're doing is they're talking to the fundraisers. They're not talking to the donors.
I know.
Or they're not looking at what the donors are basically saying. And, so you and I have a report that just came out 2 days ago, and we're recording this on May 22nd.
Yeah. And
basically it said, this measured 135 national nonprofits in 7 major philanthropic sectors that reports that actual donor giving, the number of donations are up 4.2%. The revenue's up 32.2%. The average gift is up 26.9%. And the arts and culture sector is virtually even with last year.
Now, you would never know that from any of the headlines we read. And just,
I know that
everyone's talking about, the sky is, everything is down. The outlook is terrible. I don't understand it.
I just think, first of all, the surveys of many of these folks, they're surveying the wrong people.
Right.
And here's how that all works. So many of these people that they're talking to, the professionals in the nonprofits, are operating like with fear, and they're not asking. Or they just simply don't know that now is the time to ask their good donors to help out, or they don't have a plan in place to do it. And so if you ask those folks what they're experiencing, what are they going to report? They're going to report and forecast the situation that they themselves have created. It's one of a lack of a plan. It's defeatism. It's transaction-oriented fear, entrenchment, negativity. This is why I'm so wound up, because it's like, come on, folks.
I know. And then the other thing I have a problem is with the survey. You're asking people what they think is happening versus actually looking at data. And so that data that you gave us with the, based on 135 nonprofits, what's actually coming in, when you said donations are up, the number of donations, the average gift is up. And then overall is up between now, January through May 2020 versus January through May 2019. That's what they're looking at.
Exactly.
And that doesn't get the headline. And so everyone's thinking everything's in the toilet. But in reality, giving is actually up. And, we have to admit, yes, there's, like a fourth of the country basically is almost out of work right now. But we know that even in the worst of times, overall giving trends, even in the worst, the Great Recession we had, the Great Depression, and all of the recessions in between that, giving has only gone down 1% to 2% overall from individuals. The organizations that are really hurting right now are those that are so dependent on peer-to-peer fundraising for events, or they're very reliant on corporate or government grants.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, Jeff, is our own experience. So we've got these reports, like that one I just read you, and that is basically tracking millions of actual donor transactions.
Yeah.
We got that report. Then we have our own experience.
Yes.
Where 4 major gift officers of a client have raised $1 million, where, a donor, a 10,000 donor is now giving 15,000. That's a faith-based organization.
Yeah.
Or a donor is giving 75,000 to a preschool program. Or a donor is giving an additional gift of 135,000 for international work. Or another 94-year-old donor is giving 25,000 to the arts. Or a $20,000 is giving 30,000 to public media. I was on a call the other day in terms of public media, where the VP for development there basically said, our corporate stuff is down because the underwriting and the sponsorships are down, but the individuals are more than making up for it. So bottom line, we're actually better than we were last year.
Yeah.
And so we have this stuff that's happening. And the thing that's frustrating to me is you have leaders and managers in these organizations who are looking at the whole thing wrong, which means they're leading wrong, which means their organizations are going to suffer, which means good people will suffer and good causes will suffer. And that's why I get so frustrated.
Yeah.
Instead of getting out there and just start asking and start talking about the shortfall.
Yeah. Let's just pause for a second, because we've been on a little rant here, which is good. That's good to rant. But so in all of this, what you're saying here is, if you're just reading headlines, if you're a manager or leader, or even a major gift officer, if you're just reading headlines and you're looking at surveys of fundraisers, you'd probably believe the sky is falling. You should start making cuts right now and expect that you're going to lose a ton of revenue.
Yep. You might as well just pack your suitcase and leave town.
Well,
close the shop down.
I know, but I've heard of organizations. We're talking just a couple of weeks after this pandemic hit, starting to lay off development team people.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. It just absolutely irresponsible and crazy. Seriously.
And then here's what's happened. So people have been laid off. They got laid off, but then they kept a couple of their major gift officers, and they realized, my gosh, giving is still going strong here. And since then, they've rehired them back on.
I know.
They realized, maybe we should be asking.
Okay, so now what they ought to do is lay off the people that laid off the people.
That's a good point.
Because those people need to go. I'm serious. See, that's where leadership is failing. That's where leadership is actually failing philanthropy.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I mean, it is just one of the more frustrating situations I've seen. So, like we've talked in a number of situations, Jeff, where we basically are talking to somebody and we say, so, like for instance, I'm thinking of one organization, especially, and the fundraisers cannot get financial information from their finance people. Now, why there's all this secrecy and all this, why you can't say, you can't talk about the need or any kind of why, I don't understand that. Why are you taking those positions? Now is the time to talk to these donors about why it's important that you help out. And especially like the organizations that require, like arts organizations that have performances and things like that.
Yeah.
Where the performance is actually a source of revenue. You need to explain to your donor population, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing, and here's how you can help. But they don't do that.
Why don't they do that? What's going on there?
I just have no idea.
I mean, are they afraid to talk about that stuff with donors for fear that donors are just going to drop it? Well, they're just being irresponsible or something. I don't know.
I think to put the best light on it in those situations is that they don't have a culture of philanthropy, so they actually don't know how to behave. It's not like they're stupid.
Yeah,
they just don't know how to behave, and it's like so. I mean, we've been in situations where a lot of nonprofits they have the revenues all fee based or ticket based or things like that. Or corporate funding based. Yeah. They don't know how to talk to individual donors.
I know.
They don't even know what to say. And so then the default action is basically to be kind of timid and fearful and basically do nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's why, if you're a leader or a manager or you're a frontline fundraiser, you need to get past those headlines and that story and believe what we're saying about the actual donor data and see the positive.
Exactly.
And then make sure that you don't panic and you see the situation as the glass half full. And then you keep moving forward with your strategic plans and in the long term, you leaders need to diversify your fundraising revenue, do all that.
Yeah.
So don't come back to those negative headlines and don't cut your fundraising budget.
Oh, that's
communicate with donors and tell them what the story is.
Yeah.
That's basically the formula.
Wow. I hope that leaders, managers, major gift officers are listening today. And if you are succumbing to those bad headlines, making a change immediately right now. Richard, I give to this one organization and regularly, and I have not seen anything from this organization asking for any funds at all since this pandemic began.
I know.
I actually called the fundraiser. I said, why are you not asking for help? And they're just like, well, the head of our organization said, I don't feel comfortable sending out anything right now because people, they're giving to other things and our organization is dealing with something that's not directly related. So I don't want to send anything. And I was like, are you kidding me?
See, okay. So to me, Jeff, for me, there's a strong, this is going to be tough for some people to listen to, but there's a strong, definite correlation between the financial struggle of a nonprofit during these times and the lack of leadership in fundraising in that nonprofit.
Yeah.
In other words, virtually every situation where leadership stepped up and explained the need to their donors in a compelling and urgent way, in every one of those situations, the financial impact is minimal. Why? Because when donors truly understand what is needed, they'll step in and save the day. That's what'll happen.
That is very, very well said.
That is what's actually wrong. And that's why I get so wound up, because these leaders and managers and board members have a fiduciary responsibility for that nonprofit, and they're failing to properly lead because they've got the wrong thoughts in their heads. They're reading the wrong headlines, and they don't understand how fundraising works.
Yeah. You know, we've said this pandemic has been a stress test for many nonprofits, and why you need to build out multiple revenue streams, because those with just a few are hurting. But you know, as you've been talking, the thought came to me, the stress test also is about really ferreting out the good leaders versus the bad leaders.
Exactly. And the bad leaders need to move on. I'm serious. I am really serious. Come on, folks, go find something else to do.
Well, you've given everyone some good advice and some thoughts here. Now, before we go, though, today, I want to tell you about our brand new white paper for you. This is good. It's called Don't Pivot, Change It. It's all about how to diversify your revenue streams we're just talking about, and how to rethink how you evaluate major gift programs. And it's absolutely free to you. Go to veritasgroup.com, and in the downloads tab, you'll find it. That's veritasgroup.com, and look for the white paper. Don't pivot, change it.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritasgroup.com. Please join us again next time.